relationships with faculty is intimidating enough, and it becomes even harder when you have to do it online. But just because it's hard doesn't mean it's impossible. So today we are discussing my advice on how to build and maintain relationships with faculty in this digital virtual world. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about everything grad life, grad advice, and research. And today we're talking about how to build and maintain relationships with faculty online. Now, as a product of the pandemic and US universities, UCLA specifically, turning to digital online platforms, I had a little time to reflect on what it takes to build a network of faculty advisors or mentorship while in this digital space. And let's be honest, even when this whole pandemic thing ends, the idea of having to work online probably isn't going to just disappear. We probably are still going to experience a lot more online programs or trying to work with faculty in different locations or across the nation. And so building the skills of networking, seeking mentorship relationships, and reaching out to people in this digital space is an invaluable skill that will be applicable even when the world starts to open up. So I thought it was important that we discuss what are some good strategies for reaching out, networking, and building strong mentorship relationships with faculty across the nation, or even within your department that you don't have access to. So one of the most important things that you need to do as kind of a first step is to set and have clear expectations. And this means when you are reaching out to faculty, you need to have a really strong, good idea of what it is you're hoping to get out of this relationship or even the conversation more precisely. And why this is important. When you were face-to-face in person, you have the opportunity to feel each other out and check each other's vibe and see where things go. But in a digital platform, that human interaction gets disconnected very easily. And it's possible that faculty are also getting inundated with a ton of emails and people reaching out to them because it's more accessible and it's easier to send an email than it is to show up to a meeting space. So when you are reaching out to these faculty, be it in your email, be it in a phone conversation, or just in general, you want to be really specific with yourself so you can make practical and tangible goals or expectations that you can share with the faculty member. So what this could look like is within your email, your introduction, you introduce yourself and say, I would love to have a conversation that's 10 to 15 minutes where I get an opportunity to ask you a few questions about your book on da 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 da. So this way, the conversation has a very guided agenda that both you and the faculty member know what the point of the conversation is. Now, that doesn't mean you can't just reach out and say, hey, I'd like to get you to know you better. But if you're gonna try and get to know them better, you also want to have kind of an idea of what is it that you're looking to understand better to help you make a decision on if this relationship is good or not. Also, these strong expectations will make it easier for faculty to respond to you because they will know what to expect. If you put a timestamp on how long you want to talk, or you put a specific agenda or purpose of the conversation, then faculty kind of know what they're getting into, and then it's easier for them to say yes versus a vague email saying, I would love to explore the research and pontificate with you. This way they know, okay, we're gonna talk about this, or they want to ask me 5 or 6 questions about this topic for this amount of time. Yes, I can make space on this day for this amount of time. This way you're being respectful of their space, but also you are getting the information and the things that you think will be most valuable for you to fill them out, but also get the information that you need. Now, it's also very important to be consistent. And when we're talking about consistent, I mean in 2 different ways. The first way is if you reach out to a faculty member and they don't respond to you within the first 2 weeks, it's totally appropriate, and I would encourage you to reach out again. Like I just said, faculty members are usually busy, or they're like old fuddy-duddy people who aren't just really into emails, or they're in a place where there's not good email. Regardless, you don't want to just disappear on accident. So you want to give them an opportunity to see your email. Now, this doesn't mean to approach them entitled, to have very strong expectations or demands within those emails. You want to be respectful of their time, and you want to politely follow up. So again, giving them at least 2 weeks to see your email, before reaching out. And when you reach out, trying to reach out with humility, modesty, kindness, patience, and understanding. Because there is nothing more frustrating as an educator to be reached out by a student as if you owe them something. It's just not nice, and it's probably not going to lead to a very productive conversation. The second way that you want to be consistent, and this is just after you've already developed some sort of relationship with them, is you want to give them updates on you. Now, I give faculty members updates maybe once a year, unless I know I'm going to need them a lot throughout the year, then maybe once every 6 months. Now, this is very useful if this is a faculty member that you used to have class with back in undergrad or a couple semesters ago, and you know that they may be helpful in the future, or you really just really like them, which is usually the case for me. But by giving them yearly or 6 monthly updates, you're able to remind them that you exist. They're able to kind of keep a mental track of what you're up to. And then it also shows that you're thinking about them. And when it really comes down to it, building a relationship is building a relationship. People like people who think about them. People like people who care about them. You want to care about your faculty member, and you want to demonstrate that you care about them and that you see them as active parts of your life. So this way, being consistent, you probably won't have to do it with somebody you just met, but as the relationship grows longer or as you spend more time apart, by giving them, again, updates every 6 months, every year. If they're really chatty and seem to really like conversations, you can even do it more frequently, so definitely fill it out. But the goal is just to keep them in mind and to demonstrate to them that you are thinking about them and you are excited to share your adventures, your life, your successes with them. Which leads me to my next suggestion. You want to demonstrate that you are invested. And what I mean by invested is, if you're reaching out to faculty to have a relationship, then a relationship needs to be 2 ways. It can't just be you taking and taking and taking. And so one way to demonstrate that you're invested into your faculty is by attending their talks, by reading their articles, being up to date if they're doing interviews or special programmings or hosting exhibitions or what have you. What is most important is that you need to attend whatever they are putting on. Now, it doesn't, of course, have to be everything that they are doing, but really demonstrating that, again, you are invested in their work, that you care about what they're doing, and that you exist. If you are somebody that they know is showing up all the time, or when they speak to you, you can talk about these events or programs, it really does, again, demonstrate that you care about them. And it's so much easier for people as humans in this world to invest in other people that are also actively investing in their success, right? It becomes a reciprocal relationship at this point. Because again, nobody wants somebody who's just gonna be parasitic and take. Sometimes you have to give. And as students, it's so much easier to give because all we have to do is show up and support. Also, now that I think about it, it's also so much easier for them to remember who you are if you constantly keep showing up. Again, we're in a digital world. It is so easy to forget people exist outside of their little 2x3-inch cubes that exist within a Zoom room. So if you're showing up in that same Zoom icon or name or your actual face because you turn on the camera, because that's just how invested you are. But if they keep seeing this name and this face over and over again, they are eventually going to remember it, even if they don't realize they're remembering it. So when you reach out to them, again, it's easier for you to be somebody that they want to work with and remember because you are constantly invested in their work, you're showing up, and you're having more opportunities to get to know them, and vice versa. So again, being invested is a reciprocal relationship thing where you get to support your faculty and show that you care about them and build relationship in that regard, but also for them to become familiar with who you are, what you're about, and what you look like. So when you reach out or when you talk, there's more familiarity and more comfort in that way. Okay, I said this one already, but I just want to repeat it because it is so important. Be patient. You have to be patient when you're dealing in a digital world. A lot of faculty, if not most faculty, are 50 years plus, and a lot of them may not be very comfortable with digital platforms and conversations or even just emailing people back. So do not come off as entitled or exhausted or frustrated or what have you. It is really important to practice patience with your faculty member because this digital platform and digital space is new to them too. And just how we have to navigate and figure out how the world works in this new space, so do they. The only difference is they've had, their 30+ years already working their academic jobs in the way that they have always done it. And now all of a sudden everything is changing and they have to be more flexible and understand these digital online platforms. That's not an easy process. So being patient, expecting some lag time in between the interactions or in between conversations or emails. Trust in them. Don't be pushy. If they say they're going to do something, believe that they're going to do it. And only after a little bit of time goes by, follow up, right? So it's about having realistic expectations and not taking things personally. Again, faculty are doing the best with what they have too. And if they're not very nice people and purposely making you wait, then instead of trying to force them into being your mentor, you should probably just not want to work with them. Which leads to my next piece of advice. You need to be realistic. If you feel like you have to beg a professor to talk to you, if you feel like you have to be pushy or force them, or if they're just generally not being responsive, then they already are demonstrating that they're probably not good mentors, that they don't have the mentorship spirit. And begging someone to support you is never going to be as generative or productive as finding somebody who's truly invested in you and your research. So when you are approaching these situations, even if it's the star researcher that you're just so in love with and fundamentally changed who you are and how you see the world, the reality is you have to be realistic. And if they're not very nice, if they don't seem to like you, if they're not invested, don't take it personal, but definitely keep it pushing. I say this all the time, but at the end of the day, grad school, you want to keep your academic, your financial, and your mental health all intact. And so you need to be able to recognize red flags when people aren't going to treat you kindly or invest in your own success. And that's exactly why I made this channel. So if you're interested in exploring more grad life, hearing more grad advice and everything research, don't forget to subscribe. And if you found at least 2 things useful, definitely hit a thumbs up so people know that this video has good quality content. And as always, if you have any questions or video suggestions, leave them in the comments down below. Your support, your likes, your comments, especially when you share with other people that may need my help, helps small YouTubers like me continue to grow. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week.